Hi, I have in front of me here an 8-way AHD DVR. So this is a really high-end DVR. AHD stands for analog high definition, and it's a huge leap forward in terms of picture quality from what went before, either the semi-HD of 960H or the previous, let's say, 500, 600, 700 TVL systems. One of the great features about going with a DVR like this is that it's giving you the very highest technology, but it's always also backward compatible, so it can be used with the new AHD cameras, but it can also be used with all the various types of less high resolution, and it's automatically adjusting on a channel by channel basis for the different picture resolution qualities, and we'll demonstrate that later on. So the format of this video is going to be, we'll give an overview of exactly what comes in the outer box, we'll look at the DVR itself in some detail, and we'll give a demonstration of the main menu features in that. Very, very user friendly, best interface of any of the DVRs we've seen so far. So in terms of what comes in the box, comes in this outer box here. We have a user manual, we have a CD, and we also have the following cable. Okay. In terms of these power units here, we have the power unit is 12 volts, 3.3 amps. The SATA cable and the brackets here and the screws are used for mounting, let's say, up to a 3 terabyte internal hard drive. And we also have this, which is the remote control with a set of AAA batteries. Now what I'll do now is I'm just going to come to the front of the box, give an overview of the main features, and then we'll just go through it, okay? So if we look here, we'll see that we have just a USB port here, which are used for, let's say, extracting recordings, adding an external hard drive, or upgrading the firmware. We have just an ability to select the menus here, left and right, up and down, the OK button. Then we have backup, mute, menu, utility, status, etc. So what here is doing is really mimicking the functionality that comes in the DVR itself in terms of the menu system. You generally wouldn't be accessing it directly from here, but if you couldn't find the remote or had no mouse with you, you could actually just access it directly that way. What we'll see here as well is, if we look on the back of the unit here, what we could do is we have 8 channel inputs here, and then we have 4 audio inputs here as well, and 2 audio outs, okay? There's actually an IR sensor here, so we can actually mount this DVR away in a cabinet and just run a little IR sensor out, which allows us to operate it from the remote control in that manner. If we look then at the outputs, how to connect it, well, we'd normally be using obviously a HDMI output, but there is a VGA facility on it as well. And then if we just look here, we'll say we have the different options here in terms of relays, alarms, and of course also the RS485 for working PTZs, okay? And if we just look here then, we have another USB port, a LAN connection for networking it, putting it online. We have our main BNC output here, and also we have our power input on the unit. Now if we come along here and we'll just focus in on the screen, what we'll see here is the main menu here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to right click here. We have an AHD camera just set up on the sign behind us. And what we can do here is we just have the different things, auto sequencing, backup. The main one here is the configuration one. We have time search, system logs, playback, PTZ cameras, and we have the various screens here, etc. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to click into the configure menu, and if we come along here and click, it's asking for the password, and it's simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 as well. And I'm just going to go return, and we're straight in there, okay, system setup. So we can just cancel out there, we'll say. It's just telling us the type of DVR it is, etc. And we'll just cancel back out, and we can go straight directly in here, we'll say. And if we look at the video loss here, what we can have is motion detection, video loss, etc. And what we can do is we can be setting up exactly what's going to happen in certain circumstances. You know, do we want to get a notification? Do we want to, which channel thing are we looking for this on? Things like pop-up channels, buzzer, relays, etc. We can do the same for motion detection here. For the sensors, and also then it just gives an overview of the system itself, which is just here, and what we're able to do is enable and disable relays, things like that. So we could have certain events that happen, and it's all configurable directly in here. In terms of the recording setup, we'll see that it's automatically detecting the camera that we have in channel 1 is 720p 25. But what we could do is we could click in here, and I can actually adjust the sharpness, or we'll say the brightness of this. I could bring it way up or down, so as we think, and we could save those settings. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to exit out, which will not save them. And then in terms of the resolution here, we'll see that we could choose to record at a much lower resolution. The big advantage there is twofold. The first thing is it's going to use a lot less space, and the second thing is that it's auto-configurable. It'll detect that other cameras are of a lower resolution and it'll set it accordingly in terms of what it is. And then we're going to set the frames per second and also the quality on it. So I'm just going to click out here again. So we have things all the way down here, and whether to configure it on record or not. So I'll just exit out here, and then we'll just go into the main system setup here. So what I'll have here is we haven't fully configured the hard drive inside, but what it'll do is if we had come along and formatted it, it'll pick it up and it'll be detected automatically. What we have here then is the camera setup. So we have it here and we can set it up. It defaults, we'll say, for the PTZ on the Pelco P, but you can come along and you can change it here, and you can change the baud rate, etc. And you can do for each one after in turn. You can go through and set up different camera IDs so you can work them independently of each other. And then what we're going to do here is we have a storage setup, so we can just figure that, and we can say how long we're going to do it as well. And finally, we'll just come down to the network settings on it here. So we'll obviously normally be using the static IP on it there, and we can configure it up in 3G as well if we wish to, and we can just set this up here in terms of all the different settings. So that we have separate videos covering the main things there. And then there's the account manager here, where it actually come along and for each of the different things we can set it up and create a whole series of different users on it, and give them different passwords and different levels of access. And you know, we can configure it, we'll say, if we talked earlier, that a certain user will be the person who receives the email when a certain event happens, and that's all possible to do directly from here. So you can see overall, we'll say, it's a pretty impressive DVR. In terms of the overall fit, would say, in our cider product range, I think it's very advantageous, and I think it's going to be much more of get much more traction in the market for traditional we'll say satellite or DVR and CCTV installers, simply because it's working on the same technology as we had before, just with a much better picture. So what we have is the same power units, the same cabling, BNCs and 2.1mm power sockets, etc. And the fact that this DVR is capable of actually supporting both the very AHD resolution cameras and the older ones together really makes it a super system. So there's another DVR in the range, a 4-camera version of this, and we also of course have the lower and less expensive ones, but this one here in particular I think is going to prove to be very, very successful for us. So that's it anyway, an overview of the 8-camera AHD DVR.